In today's video, I'm sitting down with Peter, who recently retired from a 30-year corporate career and started his own business selling on Amazon. He made his first sale in June, launched the product that he's now selling in September, and in just 3 short months has reached £15,000 in revenue selling in the UK marketplace. In this discussion, we're going to talk about his unique approach to how he came to find this product. It's a really powerful story, really heartwarming story, and then how he's gone on to grow his sales. He gives 4 bits of really great advice for new sellers when you're thinking about starting this business, and he also reveals his actual product that he's selling right now. It's one not to miss, so stay tuned. Well, welcome back to the channel. Today, this is another brand builder dialogue where I sit down with real life brand builders and talk about their successes, their challenges, the whole journey, open, honest, and vulnerable conversations. Today's conversation is exactly that, very open, very chilled, 2 blokes talking about their business and really just kind of chewing the fat, talking about what's worked, what hasn't, the challenges, the exciting things that are coming up. And so well worth a watch. If you are someone who does want to launch profitable products, build a brand that lasts, is something I'm continually on the journey of, Peter is on the journey of, and if you want to be on that journey too, make sure you hit that subscribe button because that's what this channel is designed to help you do. Okay, settle in, grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, your beverage of choice, settle back because this is a really, really helpful interview and I hope you find some value in it. Without further ado, let's jump into it. Awesome. Well, I'm here with my good friend Peter, and he's going to share with us today a bit of his journey on this newfound adventure of his. And thanks for joining us today, Peter.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's great to have you here. So yeah, we're just going to dig into your story a little bit and talk about some successes, some challenges along the way. So first up, give us a bit of background. What was life like before you started on this journey? What did you do for a career, etc.?
So I worked for 30 years sort of in finance, mainly in the city of London down here. And I was in New York for 5 years and Tokyo for a few months, all with the same firm. And, I saw a lot of the world and I was flown around a lot of places, but I really didn't enjoy my 30 years at all. It was, the money wasn't bad, but I find it difficult to get up in the morning. About 2 years ago, I got a phone call to say my mother had collapsed, and I dropped the phone, rang, and never been back. So
Wow.
that's how I got into this whole thing.
Yeah.
That's that in a nutshell.
Yeah.
30 years sort of doing technical project management, so swap trading systems and electronic trading and all that kind of thing. So
Officially retired now.
It's officially retired.
Wow.
I've decided about 6 months ago that I'm just not going back. Not going back at all. So, I'm having too much fun doing this.
Yeah, good. Which we'll get into, which is good. So I think obviously that'd be quite common with a lot of people's story, whether they've done 30 years or they're kind of 10 years into a career or whatever. Obviously, you said the money was good. You were earning decent money, but you weren't happy. What was it about it in particular that was a challenge for you?
To be honest, 2 things. One, often the people. I mean, I often found sort of 1 or 2 people that I got on with and we had a sort of similar mindset, but there's a lot of people take themselves quite seriously in banking. And there's a lot of shouting and a lot of testosterone. I sort of didn't like that. And then I also thought, well, what am I doing here? Where's the value add? I'm just sort of making even more money for companies that have got quite a lot of it already. So in terms of sort of fulfillment, I found it very difficult to sort of get up and thinking, yes, I'm doing a good job and I'm doing the right thing. So I found solace in, trips to Sydney and Singapore. They flew me on Concorde once. And all
Oh, wow.
So I'm one of the relatively few people that have been on Concorde. So all that kind of stuff, it was great. But that's sort of 1% of the job. The other 99% is shouting in meetings and anyone who's sort of worked in finance and things. I've met like very, very few people who loved what they did. They did it because they'd made a decision, they got into it, and then the money was such that there wasn't really any option to sort of go anywhere else.
Mm. Yeah, it's
And that's not a
interesting.
great.
Yeah, it's interesting because, it's a scenario that I think a lot of people would dream of, getting the ability to live in Tokyo, New York, fly on Concorde, it sounds glamorous, right? But still there was that frustration and, so it is interesting to hear.
Yeah,
I think there's,
and that is just the 1%. The other
mm,
99% is grind and
yeah.
wearing a suit and
Mm.
yeah, it just for me basically.
So which has brought you to obviously where you are today, obviously sort of retiring, walking away from that. You decided you wanted to do something on a business front. What sort of brought you across the world of selling on Amazon, building a brand? What was it that, how did you find out about it?
Well, I was thinking about this. Basically, I'm having to sort of sort out a lot of my mother's sort of financial arrangements. She had sort of houses, 3 houses that I needed to sell for various reasons, and I'm still in the process of doing that. So I was sitting at my computer a lot, sort of, filling out forms for, power of attorney and all this kind of thing. And your mind wanders when you're doing sort of that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was just a chance thing on YouTube basically. It started out by I saw this guy in America going on about it, and he had a sort of free Udemy course, I think you call them, and I sort of looked up at that, and then I just realised that selling in the US, I couldn't see that being based in the UK. I couldn't. It just seemed a sort of a bit of a too far a step, as it were. So so then I just typed in, sort of FBA Amazon UK, and among many things that came up, you were one of them. So I watched, it's yeah, you're famous. A lot of people have watched your videos, and you and a couple of others, whatever. But I don't know. There's just something sort of resonated about what you were saying and the way you were saying it that I just thought, yeah, maybe this give a go. And then so I as most people do, you watch a lot of stuff and you think, oh, maybe I could do this myself. There's so much out there on the internet. There's so much sort of free advice that maybe this is worth sort of giving a go. And then I thought about it and realised that the benefit, while the benefit of the knowledge is key, it's more about the sort of ongoing support and community. That's where I saw the value of signing up to a sort of a program. It wasn't being told this is, go on to Alibaba and select suppliers and hit trade assurance. While that's very, very useful, you could probably learn that from free YouTube videos. Kind of thing. It was more that, am I doing the right thing? I found this. My ROI is 73%. Is that good? Kind of thing. And YouTube videos don't answer those kinds of questions. Community and groups and leaders can do. So that's basically why I thought, that's the main reason. The other thing I thought, I always wanted to start my own business, and despite being in sort of technology for a long time, I always kind of saw it as a bricks and mortar business. Back in my 30s and 40s kind of thing. It didn't really. I didn't think that it would be a sort of commerce business, and then I thought, well, why the hell not? And I also thought, if I don't take the plunge now, what am I going to do? I haven't got plan B and C and anything. I only have this plan, so I just went, oh, sod it. It's X hundred quid. Let's go. And I'm very glad I did.
Good. Yeah, no, that's good. I think it's where a lot of people come to, isn't it? It's like, oh, I'm not sure, but let's give it a go, see what happens. And obviously we'll talk about how your journey's been going. But I also, love the fact that you have, really dived into the community. You're such an active member of our community. And it's just, for me, it brings me so much joy to see that, because that's what it's designed for. And to see you getting lots of value from that, you adding so much value to that is a great thing. And I think it's exciting to see, right? The friendships that are forming, the business building relationships that are forming. I think we're all getting sharper together. It's an exciting thing.
Yeah, indeed. We have sort of subgroup meets and all that kind of thing, because people are at different stages of the journey kind of thing, and some people don't want to bore other people about where they are on it kind of things. But we meet up, as sort of kind of once a week, and then the sort of subgroups, and we're the Facebook. There's got to be a good sort of 5 or 10 posts a day on that, and answering everyone else's questions and things. And it's nice to, with even having sort of relatively little experience, in sort of 6 months, to be able to one of the group rang me up yesterday, and I was hopefully able to help him sort of further on his journey. And yeah, it's that, as I say, that's what it's about. It's yes, the money's will be nice in X years time, whatever, or X months time, but it's more about the sort of, I look forward to the Tuesday calls.
Definitely, yeah, the highlight of the week, aren't they? But yeah, it's definitely good. And so, like, you're obviously talking about there, someone's phoned you up, and one of the things I love about you is just how open you are about your journey. You said before you're happy to sort of share, like, that's your product that you sell sitting sort of right there behind you. So start to talk to us a bit about that journey. Talk to us about how you found it, why you started selling that, a bit of the progress you've made so far.
Okay, well, before that, very briefly, in about 30 seconds, I'd sort of I'd gone down another product route, which was selling sort of British charcoal, because the charcoal you buy at the petrol station and things, all from sort of Namibia and Nigeria and Paraguay and Indonesia and things, and it's not sustainable and blah blah blah. So I built a listing. I was selling it for 4 times the price that everyone else was selling it, but I still sold 50 boxes of the stuff, because people like the story about sort of sustainability and looking after English woodland and blah blah blah. But the problem is that basically I kind of knew when I went down the route that I was only breaking even, and it was using a lot of my time. I went down to the wood and helped box it all up and all this kind of thing. But I did it. And I knew that would be the case, but I did it because I really wanted to sort of learn the end-to-end process of sourcing a product and getting it onto Amazon and putting a listing and PPC and all that kind of thing. So I knew that I wouldn't make money out of it, but I didn't really care, because I see this as a X year thing. And I knocked it on the head after sort of 50 boxes, because I'd learned so much, but I also realized that I hadn't lost any money, but I hadn't sort of made any, and therefore it wasn't really sustainable. So the next thing I went on to, it was a bit sort of, I don't know whether serendipity is the right word, but so my mother's now unfortunately in a care home, because she had to, after 2 months in hospital, she had to be looked after 24 hours a day, and I couldn't do that here with my small children and 5-story place and all that kind of thing. So she liked gardening, and so I sort of put this little thing together, sort of 4 pots together and seeds, and said, "Mum, you can have your own little garden." And then it sort of thought, well, actually, is that is that possibly the next product? And got helium-10 and sort of did the research, and it looked like it possibly could be. So it kind of started from that, and so. Yeah, I started sort of looking as to where I could get all the supplies for it. My product is sort of complicated in that, as I said, I have about 9 different suppliers. There's buckets, there's sort of the tags that say oregano and things like that. There's the seeds in packets in here. There's the box. There's inside pots. There's soil. There's the insert. There's tissue paper. So it's a complicated thing. So I spent a lot of my time finding 9 suppliers for that. And each time you find a supplier, they come back saying, "Oh no, the box will be £4 each." And you think, well, that's not going to work. So and it's an iterative, and so you have to go through sort of 10 suppliers times 9 product, times 9 things. It's very it's very time consuming. But I got to the point where it's all from the UK, and I got to the point where I thought, I can do this. So, but will it sell? And so I eventually got 20 kits together that I made in the room behind me with the help of my kids, paying them £5 an hour.
So I haven't paid a legal rate.
Yeah, well, it is, but he's 14. There's no rate thing yet.
True.
So I bought some cardboard boxes, shipped them into Amazon, and because I'd gone down the sort of low risk route, I thought I'll source from the UK, and I don't know whether it will work, so I'll put in 10, 15, 20, and if they sell, then maybe there's a flyer. But if they don't, then I haven't lost a lot of money. I was, for someone who's generally quite sort of, I sort of take risks and quite sort of happy to do that. I sort of reverted to someone who was quite sort of really quite cautious. Anyway, they went in, sold 1 the first day, and 3 the next, 6 the next, 4 the next. And so after, it was all, they were all out of stock after 5 days, and my sort of 20. And I was kind of none the wiser as to, does this sell? I knew that it did sell, obviously, and I was so chuffed. We've talked a lot about it before, about that first sale when it goes ding. That was just like, I've spent all this time and it's actually been rewarded. Someone actually wants to buy what I think is worth selling, kind of thing. So that was good. And then I thought, let's go for it. And I scoured the UK for every single metal bucket, and I bought sort of 1,000 off a group up in Manchester, and I bought the herb things of another group in Salford, and started sort of putting another sort of 100 kits together again, sort of here. They went in, they sold, and then I realised that it's not sustainable what I was doing. I couldn't keep going to suppliers and not manufacturers, and so now I've sort of entered into contracts with people in China and people in India to supply me the sort of the metal and glass aspects of the kit, basically.
So you're bulk buying the stuff now and then getting them assembled. You were originally doing that yourself, but now you've outsourced that, right?
Correct. To a 3PL, third-party logistic company, and so I get all my suppliers to send the stuff to them, and then so I have inventory challenges in terms of how many soil pellets have I got, how many plastic pots have I got, how many metal pots have I got, and how many have they got, because I don't see them anymore. They go directly to that. But yes, the 3PL then assembles the kit for me at a cost, and then bundles them up and sends them into Amazon. So I've taken myself out of that loop at least.
Yeah, that's good. And what, like in terms of sales, once you got a bigger load into the Amazon warehouse, how are you going with that?
In September, the first lot was sort of doing 6 to sort of 15 a day kind of thing, up to 20 on a couple of days, and then most recently I managed to just get in before Black Friday, so they went on sale on the Thursday afternoon, and I sold out 120 in 3 days, and then I put in another 160 and sold out in 4. So I was doing about sort of 40 a day, basically.
Yeah, great.
December, which again, gobsmacked about. I just each time I looked at, and I deleted the app because it was unhealthy, but I nevertheless, I sneaked up to my computer and hit refresh on the manage order page within Seller Central, and each time I did that, like every hour, there was at least sort of 1 or 2. And I couldn't believe it. I was just 40 a day. I'm thinking that's over 1,000 a month.
It's great. People still underestimate the traffic on Amazon. It is insane. And I remember we talked about that on one of our weekly calls a while ago about how, I think you were doing 15, 20 sales a day at that point, and you were like, relatively pleased with that. And I'm kind of like doing the maths, and it's sort of, 12 to 15,000 pounds a month if you were in stock the whole time and selling. And, that's a 6-figure business. That's nearly 150, 180, 200,000 pounds a year on one simple, okay, maybe not simple product, you have to assemble it, but it's one random product that you just kind of came across when you were with your mum. And it's just, it's insane. Like, I remember saying in the call, a lot of people, if they were to start a business where they were, a plumber or an electrician or anything like that, if they were doing 60, 70, 80,000 in a year, people would think, oh, they're doing well for themselves. And we're in this opportunity to sit inside in the warm, our comfy desk and do it. It's just 2020. What a day to be alive.
Indeed. You do the maths and you think, well, 20 a day, that's 600 a month, and even at £5 a profit per unit, that's £3,000. That's £3,000 a month. Profit. That's 36,000 quid a year, and that's just selling. A reasonable rate, a pretty good rate. We'll be happy with sort of 20, but and that's just one product. You do that
product,
2 or 3, 4 times, and that's 15 grand a month. So and I'm that's kind of what I used to do in terms of work and things, those kinds of projections you had to do as sort of project manager and costs and all this kind of thing. So it was very easy to realise that, the potential of that. So yeah, that's the plan.
Exciting times. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. And just before we move on to some of maybe the challenges you have faced, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? I love the story behind your product as well, obviously how you found it, but you're also trying to make a sort of decent effort of giving back with it as well, in terms of like charitable giving, etc.
Yeah, so I did that with the charcoal as well, just sort of giving back to the Woodland Trust. It's like, and I knew that I wasn't going to make, if I did make any money. So actually, I made about £120 profit. When I said I broke even on the charcoal, that was profit, but that all went to the Woodland Trust. On this one, I'm saying 20% of profits are going to. My father died 2 years ago, and he was looked after in his final days in a hospice, which is sort of very small hospital basically for people with sort of terminal illness. And so, yeah, I'm just thinking I'm doing this for myself and my family, but there's for me personally, I'm not saying anyone else, but for me personally, if I can sort of do a little bit. By giving that back, and I think, to be honest, there's a little bit of a good PR misstep. I would hope people would go, I'm not only buying a gift, but I'm also giving such a charity at the same time. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, definitely. I think generosity is a powerful thing, and I think people do, love to see that. So, obviously, commend you for that. And and obviously, I know it's something we've talked about in the community before as well. Is finding ways that you can, and this is what we talk about, building a brand, right? If you're just selling random products just to make a few quid, that's one thing. But building a brand that actually, of course, provides financially, but it makes a positive impact in people's lives. I think that's a powerful thing. And we talk about it as well, don't we? About how we wake up excited to do what we do. It's a fun journey, and you feel like you're doing something of significance, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to get up on a Monday morning and go, yes, I've got stuff to do, work to do, and for 30 years I didn't have that, and now I do, and I'm lucky. I'm very lucky. I have the time now, and if it doesn't work out, I'm, no one needs to be crying any tears for me at all. I'm fine on that front. So I've got so much respect for people who come home from work after a long day, have got to put the kids to bed, and then have got, a couple of hours, and instead of sitting there with a glass of wine and watching TV, they're, watching stuff and learning about things and ordering stuff from China. And, I was always sort of wanted to do something different, but the minute I got home and I sort of took off my suit, I was like, there was no way that I was going to just go, yeah, okay, let's do this. I just didn't have it within me. I was too knackered, basically. All I felt I didn't have the drive. But I've learned a lot about myself in this last sort of year, about what I think I'm capable of. And there's so this is a sort of the big part. And I've invented a couple of products, and they're with a product innovation design company at the moment, kind of thing, which is sort of a separate thing. But yeah, I've turned from someone who was sort of a wage slave employee to, right, I'm going to run my own little global empire from my desk. And that's the exciting thing. I think that one person can, get a company in China or India or wherever, in Vietnam, wherever, and stick their products on a boat and get it over here and get a large UPS company to come and pick it up and send it to an even larger warehouse, and and then to be distributed, and all from, and I've not moved. I personally find that fascinating. My wife thinks it's dull as ditchwater. Suppliers and shipping, and it's like, why are you doing that? It's so boring. But she's a scientist. And COVID, working on COVID, and she loves that. And I'm just thinking, God, can't be anything worse. But
no, it's good though, and like you say, we just live in such an incredible times. The day of opportunity, and the fact that you can do all that. The thing I'd love to know, just to drill in a little bit more, is you making that transition from, your words, not mine, a wage slave, but it's something we talk about a lot, right? I know, my drive, the thing I talk about all the time is freeing you up from that grip that money places over your time, because the need to pay bills can dominate your time. But the way I look at the world is like, well, humans from the very, formation weren't sort of checking in from 9 till 5. They were, farming the land, and for that they got the crops, and there was value traded, and they would trade crops for animals, and that's how the world worked, was value exchange, right? You gave the world value, and that's how you survived. Whereas now it's obviously, you clock in from 9 till 5. Not everyone, but a lot of the. And so that's a big passion of ours in our community, obviously, is getting freed up from that and creating your own freedom and having that time. But in that, you would have gone from 30 years working in a certain way to now you're your own boss. Like what challenges have you, faced with that particular, not, we'll talk about challenges with Amazon in a minute, but, just with that change of dynamic?
The fact that I look forward to the day, and I've got a list of tasks, and I used to have a to-do list at work, but because you didn't feel that any of it really added value, it was make sure, as a sort of project manager, I just sort of make sure person X has done task Y, tick, or they haven't done it, we have to have a meeting about that. And so you just didn't really felt that you sort of, at the end of the day, you didn't think, yes, And even when sort of a large trading system sort of went live, and the traders would turn around and go, yeah, it's not bad, which was a sort of a maximum sort of respect you'd ever get, kind of thing. Just think, wow, really? Was the last year and a half of stress worth it for, just so people can trade even more efficiently, and make even more money and charge customers even more money than this? A friend of mine gave me a book once. He's a fund manager, and it was called, yeah, but where are all the customers' yachts? And it was all about a guy it was 1910, the book was written about Wall Street. And this banker was sort of showing this thing round, saying, and look, and here are all the yachts in there. And he said, oh, who owns all those? Oh, yeah, well, Larry from downstairs and things, all the bankers basically. And the guy said, yeah, but where are all the customers' yachts? And, they didn't exist. And that's kind of, so you didn't feel like you were helping the world become a better place. Whereas I'm not necessarily helping the world become a better place, but from a mental point of view, me personally, I'm a lot less stressed. The kids notice it. My wife notices it.
Wow.
I just get up in the morning and I'm not sort of all, angry and stressed and worried and all this kind of thing. It's just, and I can be around for them as well, which is a big plus, basically.
Yeah, and I think people shouldn't underestimate how huge that is. You talk about that level of stress and the joy that you have, and right now you probably aren't making as much money from it as you would have been for your job, but hopefully one day it will far surpass it. But there's more to life than just money, isn't there? So it's good to hear that kind of stuff.
There is, the kids. My kids are 14 and 16, and I was once told bigger kids, bigger problems, and I didn't sort of really believe that until about a year ago, when my daughter started having issues, and my son sort of starting as well. And the problems they have are more sort of complicated than temper tantrums about sort of whose turn is it to do X first, and so be able to sort of be there and take them to the dentist and all this kind of thing. So my wife, who works flat out, 12, 14 hours a day anyway, she's not stressed anymore, because she knows meals be sorted and kids be looked after, and she can sort of do her sort of own thing. So it's the family dynamic, I think, definitely from my point of view, and I would hope from my family's point of view, everything's a bit more chilled and relaxed, and things around the house get done, basically.
Yeah, no doubt. No, it's good. It's really, really good to hear. What moving on to like the challenges of the business itself, talk to us a bit about challenges you face there.
So there's always frustrations whenever you sort of things start to work out. Another hurdle comes along, and we always sort of talk about 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and sometimes it feels like that's reversed. There's more steps backwards and forwards, but I think you have to have the mindset of just keep going, going. Yeah. And my screensaver is I think one of your favorite quotes. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You want to get and I'm lucky that I have the time, but I want to get everything done now. I don't want to wait for February when, you know, things are sort of come out. I want everything there. I want 5 products now. I want to be sort of rolled out to Germany and France, you know, in sort of 3 months. And all these things that, you know, are achievable if you've got loads of money and lots of help, as it were. But if you've got one person with a limited sort of finance sort of allocated to the venture, you just have to be sort of very patient. So that's one of my biggest challenges is internal. You know, stop beating yourself up about that you haven't done X, Y, and Z. Just, you know, if you do one sort of reasonable, you know, size thing a day on the business, then you're moving forward. You know? So yeah, that's kind of my main sort of challenge.
It is a massive thing, though, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but just like you're saying, you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So many people, I know I fell victim to it early on, is you want to rush because you feel like, oh, I want to take advantage of all this opportunity. And you think that maybe that opportunity is going to go away. But, you know, I thought that in 2016, 2017, you know, and, you know, 4 years later, I was still launching new products. And, you know, the e-commerce, the world of e-commerce and online retail is not going anywhere. And I think you're right. If you can just think with a long-term mindset, rather than how can I succeed in 3 months, how can I, you know, succeed in 3 years? Again, we've talked about that before, but it's a Bill Gates quote, isn't it? You know, people underestimate what they can do in 1 year. No, overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but underestimate what they can do in 10. And we're so victim to that. But you're right, it's playing that long-term game, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to. You know, I'm beating myself up that I didn't sort of think sort of more strategically. You know, didn't bother looking in the UK and started ordering from India and China, you know, 6 months ago. Because if I had done that, I wouldn't have sold out on the, you know, 8th of December or whenever it was. And then now I'm watching, in theory, 40 sales a day go down the pan for the next sort of 5 or 6 weeks. And you know, I could calculate how much money I've lost, but that's just a fool's game, right? You just got to think, you know what, there's always another Christmas. There's always another Christmas.
Yeah.
And so I've decided to just sort of forget about that. And also, being out of stock has a sort of, whenever I was in stock, I was like, you know, oh, how many today kind of thing, which wasn't that marathon, not a sprint mindset at all. So by being sort of out of stock, allows me to sort of lay the foundations for, in theory, and it's not going to happen, but in theory, never being out of stock ever again. Because you know, you get the spreadsheet up and you see, all right, the lead time from ordering to being in Amazon is 3 months. So I need to 3 months now, and then straight away I need to order another set. But you only learn that by screwing up and you know, doing it wrong and all this kind of thing. I don't know if you know anybody who's sort of got it right and never been out of stock. And you know, I don't see that. Even the sort of one of my main competitors, they've been doing it for, you know, at least 2 years and probably longer. And I regularly see their stuff go out of stock. And you know, they've got bigger challenges because they're selling 150, 200 a day over Christmas, you know.
Wow.
But nevertheless, it's something that you just have to learn, I think, and just have to mess up, and that's you'll learn through your mistakes. You don't learn through your successes. There are so many one-liners that are so true, and they sound so cliche. And another one of yours, and that line is, you know, progress over perfection. But it is so true. You just got to don't worry about the font on your insert, because no one else gives a shit. You know, they just want to read, you know, what the instructions are to grow herbs, you know, in my particular case. So so just sort of remembering the little mantras is sort of the internal piece that I've got to remember. That's sort of one of my challenges. And then the sort of physical challenges are pellets. For me, pellets come in boxes of 500. Seeds come in, you know, there's 4 seeds in one thing, and there's one insert. So I've got for each kit, I've got to buy 4 buckets, 4 inner pots, 4 herb markers, 1 spray bottle, 1 insert, 1 letter of tissue paper, 1 box, something. So getting all of that. Okay, so 1,000 sets is 4,000 of this, 4,000 that, 1,000 of that kind of thing, and making sure that the inventory sort of all flows in, you know, such that the prep people can go, yes, I've got enough to make 1,000 sets. That is my biggest sort of physical challenge, as it were, as opposed to mental.
Yeah, and we joked about how you, when I sort of said, "Do you want to do this conversation?" You were like, "Well, I haven't really done it the way you teach," but and I sort of rebutted that with, I think the way that we teach is basically is the idea is that it doesn't consume your life, right? It doesn't take up all of your time. But I think whilst there would be simpler ways to do things, you have chosen a more complicated way to do it. You are arriving at that point because you are outsourcing and you are getting other people involved, and so I think that's definitely true. I forgot to ask before, but in terms of like profit margins, even with all of that included, the assembly of it and everything, what would be your sort of per unit profit margin?
That's around 26% at the moment.
Okay.
I've moved the price up, so I started to sort of, in order to get sales and things, I started at sort of £17, and then when I had enough stock, I was sort of toying. I knew that I wasn't, I was losing money at that, but I didn't care because, again, long-term strategy. I just wanted the sort of the ranking and the sales and the reviews and et cetera, et cetera. Then moved up to sort of £21, as I said before. No sales velocity drop off. It was sort of sold, just as many, and put it up to 25. And so at the 25, again, no sales velocity drop off. That was when I was selling 40 a day at 25 price. So it's around sort of 26%, and the ROI is about 85 to 90, that kind of thing. Last time I looked. So yeah, as we talked about earlier, the plan is to try and reduce some of the costs, and that mainly through volume. Boxes are sort of £1.20 if you order 500, but they're 70p if you order, or 80p if you order 2,000.
Yeah.
So all of those kinds of things can get me down, and I've done the calculation. If I can get my kit down from sort of £8 to make to £7, including the assembly, then my profit margins go over 30%, and the ROI goes over 100%.
Perfect.
So
yeah, great.
it's a constant. Not battle. Battle's the wrong word, but you've got to keep sort of on top of it the whole time. Which I in a way have more leeway because I've got more suppliers. I've actually got more leeway to do that than if you ship sort of one thing. So that there are one or two upsides of having sort of lots of things in one box.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah. And talk to us about the plans from here on out. Like obviously you've seen it work, so you're excited. What's the next steps?
So the next steps is I've basically sort of modelled. Well, I'd like to think what I'm trying to be. I found a competitor on. There is a competitor on Amazon who've been doing it for years, and I've got like 10 or 15 of these things. And my plan is to basically be the premium version of that brand. So all of their stuff is their cardboard pots, and these sort of my metal markers. There's a little bits of plastic. About sort of this long that you have to write in felt tip on to sort of say what it is and all this kind of thing. And their box is about a third of the volume of mine, so everyone says, "Oh, it's way smaller than I expected." And when you open it, there's masses of space and lots of little bits of plastic and cardboard at the bottom. And so I'm trying to be that sort of premium version, and they've got about sort of 10 to 15 kits. So my plan is to basically, as we were saying earlier, is to essentially, with the same suppliers, I can change the box, I can change the seeds, I can change what the markers say on them from oregano to radishes or whatever it may be, and I have to change the sort of the insert inside saying, plant the radish seeds instead of plant the oregano seeds. But essentially, it's the same kit with sort of with different pictures, and so it can all be shipped into the warehouse, and I just say, please make up 500 of that kit A and 500 of kit B, and all they do is pick the stuff from a different box for kit B than from kit A, basically. So for my product line, whereas a lot of people have to think, I've got a garlic press, what goes well with a garlic press? Is that a potato peeler or not? I've got to research the potato peeler. I kind of don't really have to do that because I know, in theory, what my next 5, 10, 15 products are, because I've seen what sell, this other company and their competitors as well, what sells for them. So that's the plan, basically, just to get in different seeds and have a different a different box printed, basically,
Yeah,
and
brilliant.
go again.
Yeah, brilliant. And that's the power of building a brand, right? Which is something that I've seen you're really relishing. You know, all of the additional stuff that a lot of people maybe don't want to do because it's a bit of extra work, just want to sell products on Amazon. You know, you're relishing that kind of diversity. You talk to us a bit about that.
It is good because the fact, I mean, there's enough when you've got, because I've got to change 4 things for each product. So that's going to keep me sort of busy enough. If I had to go back to helium-10 and X-ray and start from scratch and put in, 15 to 25 pounds and all the parameters you get to, that can be, and I know from experience that can be energy sapping and demotivating in some cases, because the stuff that sometimes come back is sort of plastic lids or ironing board covers, and it's very difficult to get excited about those kind of things sometimes, whereas if and I know it's hard, but if you can find something, your first product, that sells, but also has that ability to sort of to grow in your niche, that is gonna, while it's more work up front, because you might find a potato peeler and think, well, nothing really goes with a potato peeler, but I really want to sell my first product, so you know what, I'm going to go with potato peelers. I would just say, just keep looking in the background, keep looking for something that is complementary, because what you lose in the short term, you will absolutely gain in the long term by not having sort of weeks and weeks of helium-10 research, product research, because you it's all mapped out. Your first product dictates your sort of your next X years in a way, in terms of sort of future.
Yeah, great.
And I was lucky. I this wasn't a thing. It just happened to be that the thing I found seemed to have that sort of progression. If you find potato peelers, maybe there isn't. But so I'm not saying, it was a deliberate, conscious effort. That was a lot of that was luck, but that was what I would say to people. Just try and think of something that you can build around. And if it potato peelers, maybe garlic presses, maybe spatulas, maybe whatever. If you see that as a complementary thing, then that certainly helps.
Yeah. You say luck, but it is a beautiful story as well. You know how you've come across it, and I think that's what's really, I think, heartwarming as well. Is like the story behind it and what you're doing with it. It's really, really powerful. So good on you for doing that. Just to sort of bring it to a close, because obviously we could talk all day, but just for the people watching, what advice would you give to anybody else who's thinking about getting started? Obviously, maybe in your position, been working, a job for a long time, not necessarily happy, want to make a change. What would be the advice that you would give them?
There's a few things. One, don't go it alone. Don't think that you can, there's enough free stuff out there, because there will come a time when there's a question, you will make one mistake, and it will cost you big, and you will, had you learned from other people's mistakes, you possibly wouldn't have made that mistake. I just sort of kind of winged it on my first product, really, and it broke even, and I learned a lot, and that's another piece of advice I'll get onto, but don't go it alone. Spend the money, find a course. I mean, I would, obviously recommend yours, Ben, but if that is me, just learn from people who know what they're talking about. And you, as I said, what you're buying is not only the sort of knowledge, but the ability to talk to people who've been down the same road as you, who can stop you making sort of mistakes, which can be, pretty costly. If you ship in things into customs in this country and you haven't filled out the right paperwork and you haven't, put the right stickers on, you could be hit for large amounts of cash. So for a few £100, if that's what it takes, spend the money, join a community, learn from other people's mistakes. That's what I'd say. I mean, to give an example, when I was in stock until about 3 days ago, I made in one day what the course cost me. So it's a no-brainer. And I remember seeing those videos and seeing, go, yeah, but it's easy for you to say, and because you're a success. What about all the people who haven't, and all this kind of thing? So you have to have the courage of your convictions. You've got to want to do it, but please, seek help, get advice, and don't go it alone would be one of the things.
Yeah, great.
Another thing I would say was, even if you're not 100% sure about it, I learned so much from my sort of charcoal kind of venture that from sourcing a product all the way through to it being sold on Amazon and you getting paid, there's about 378 steps between the front and thing, and you learn all of those if you go for it. So even if you think, well, maybe this not sell or whatever, if the numbers stack up, do it. And if you don't make the money that you'd hoped for in your first sort of batch of things that you ship into Amazon, you haven't failed. You have not failed. You've learned so much, and you realize when you talk to people who are further behind in the journey how much you have learned in that time. And so, as under the swoosh, it says just do it. And that would be my sort of, second piece of advice. And the third and last piece of advice, Spanish Inquisition, trust the system. Basically do what Ben says. Follow the steps, and it will work. If you have a good listing, if you spend money on PPC, if you have got a premium product, if the numbers say that you will make 25%, if they say that you will sell 10 units, whatever, then that is what's going to happen. And it's really hard to believe that in your heart of hearts when you haven't done it. You just think, but I'm different, and what if? But if you follow the steps, it will work. Basically, is my thing. And the last piece I would say is, I did it in a sort of piecemeal, or I'm a bit worried, and I'll put like a little kit together and see and all that kind of thing. And if you do that with a small test run of 10, 20, whatever, you don't really learn anything, because it will sell. It does sell, and when you sold the 20 units after 4 to 10 to 15 days, you still don't really know whether there's a market for it, because it could have been a fluke. It could have been that your PPC hadn't kicked in yet, and that's why you only sold 2 a day. There's so much. You have to have X hundred units basically sort of in at one go in order to work out whether and it will sell if you've made the steps. So don't do the sort of, well, suck it and see kind of thing. Get your pot of money that you've got, and go all in with that pot, and just follow the system. That's
good.
That's what I can say.
No, that's good. That very, very helpful, I think, because it's easy for someone like me to sit here and say it, because it's what I do all the time. Like, yeah, you can do it. It'd be great. And, championing the model, but to hear someone, that's obviously come in. And when did you start selling?
Charcoal was in June, and for just 2 weeks, and then this thing first time was, I think, September, the first lot, and then much bigger chunks in November and early December.
Yeah, right. And you hit like your first £10,000 in revenue, right, recently?
Yeah, that was about I don't know, 10 days ago. I looked yesterday, and I'm up to sort of 15 or something as a result of the 40 a day for 3 or 4 days kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
in 3 or 4 months' time. So to hear, I think to hear from someone that has started completely new to this, never done it, never run your own business, and just worked a corporate job for life, and then come in and done that, to hear that advice from someone who's gone through it like that, I think is invaluable for a lot of people. I know there'll be a lot of people out there that will find a lot of value in that. So thank you for.
Well, if you convince one person to just go, what, right, I'm going to do this, then I'm hoping it's worth it. But I hope that people find it within themselves to go for it, because, as I say, if if you follow the plan, rewards will come. It will happen.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to get you back on when you've hit 100, then 1 million.
That'll be nice. That'll be nice. That is the plan.
Get an update down the line. That'd be great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's do it again in a year or so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, I really appreciate you coming on, Peter. Thanks for sharing your thoughts with everyone, and excited for where it's going to go.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed listening to that chat as much as I enjoyed having it with Peter. Peter is one of the legends of our community, and I love it when people dive into this headfirst and really get involved in the community too. It's a powerful thing that can take place when you align with people that have the same passion, desire, and drive as you. And so it's amazing to see what is happening with Peter and his exciting plans for the future. I know that we will be excited to get him back on for an update at some point on the channel. If you have liked the video or have any further questions, let me know down in the comments. Let me know any questions you have for myself or Peter, and I can relay them to him and get back to you. And if you do like this kind of video where I interview real life active sellers, definitely drop a like as well, just to let me know that you want me to do more of these kind of videos, and I'll see if I can twist the arm of some of our other successful sellers in our community to come on and share their tips and strategies with you to help you do exactly that. And if you want to continue the conversation, you can do that by checking out some of the links below. You can check out the free Facebook group we have, or different social media platforms that we're posting on that you can follow on there. Or of course, you can just subscribe to this channel. And if you do want to see another interview style video, then I'll just pop it down here. You can check that one out right now. Equally as inspiring and helpful. But for now, I will see you in the next video real soon.